But I was just going at him for like, I kind of stopped my show a little bit, like my flow, and was just going at this guy. I'm like, yo, you got all this money, like, you know, you got a fancy watch, you got a suit. Why are you coming in a suit in a comedy club? Like, are you a producer? And I was like, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, I'm an accountant. And I was like, yeah, but you can you count on your girl being there for you after the show? So, you know, it's all about like, you got to be quick and you got to be witty, and like that's part of comedy.
3, 2, 1. And we're live. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on another episode of GEEZUS. All right, you already know what time it is. Yo, I brought an interesting guest on today, all right? A comedian coming out of Queens, New York, right?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, New York?
Brooklyn.
Shit, you're like on the border of Brooklyn and Queens, right?
Yeah.
All right, bro. We got Dan is gone. Danny Gonzalez, right?
Yeah.
That? All right, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me.
Yo, of course, bro. Of course, man. Yo, so yeah, you told me you was doing comedy and shit. You was pursuing comedy now?
Yeah, I've been doing comedy for about 3 years. I was originally a Long Island comic, and what's it called? It's all over Long Island. Been on Governors, Crabtrees. Did a couple of basement shows.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm in Brooklyn, and I kind of been just trying to hit up the city. Really good time. You know, it's kind of a way I can express myself. Something I always wanted to do, and now I'm finally doing it.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's it called? It all, kind of how it all started, honestly. It started, I was on a first date with my girlfriend, and I was like, I always wanted to do comedy. And then all of a sudden, she just started working at Governor's Comedy Club as a bartender, and then got me in on an open mic.
Oh, shit. How long ago was that?
It was about like 3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago?
Yeah.
So you've been at this comedy shit for 3.5 years?
Yeah, pandemic kind of makes everything all like hazy and stuff. Like
real hard. I mean, especially, if you're like going out, you're like performing in front of people.
Yeah, honestly, what really helped with the whole start of it was back in college, I was in a band. It's called Solitaire Revival. You might want to look us up. What's it called? Yeah, I was in a band in college. And I played the bass and I did like backup vocals for one song. So it kind of made the transition into comedy a little easier because I kind of knew like what to expect. Like it's two different animals.
Wait, so you went from band to comedy?
Yeah. So
and that's an easy transition?
Kind of, in the sense of like, when you're on stage performing an instrument or a song or whatever, like you memorize it. Like, you could play the song like the back of your hand. Like,
I'm gonna be completely honest with you, bro. I was in band camp. I was not even band camp. I was playing an instrument in like middle school or whatever, right? And then we'd perform in front of everybody. Bro, I literally just be faking it with my best friend right next to me, bro. We literally just be playing that shit, not having any idea, and we're just like, yeah, like it's all like Dave Chappelle. Yeah, nobody knows any better, bro. My mom came like, yo, congratulations. I'm like, I did not practice this a day in my life.
The thing, and that's the difference, right? Like, you're with your boys and stuff. So like when you're on stage and you're with your boys and whatnot, like a bass player could like mess up like a string or whatever. But like, you got the guitarist, the drummer, and the singer that can kind of like overlap that. But like when you're doing comedy, like it's just you, the stage, and maybe like a seat, and that's
yeah.
Like, if you bomb, you bomb. So the transition, it's two different animals though. 100%.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you probably didn't feel the same pressure you did at like playing, or were you at that level competing? Like
no,
when you were playing instruments.
We had a deal, like we had a manager, and he paid for studio time.
Shit.
And whatnot.
Okay, fuck.
Yeah, he was like a shady guy. He was trying to like P Diddy us, Puff Daddy. Like, yo, he wanted us to pay for everything. Like everything was gonna come out of our pocket at the end of the day. Like we had a contract.
Wait, so you got finessed, bro?
Not finesse,
or like he tried to swindle.
He tried to
finesse.
So,
holy shit!
His name is John. I always remember. It's like, hey guys, I'm gonna send you off to Vegas and da da da. And like, you guys are gonna be the new big thing because like, we're a bunch of like minorities playing like, Linkin Park, Nirvana type music.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, Linkin Park is the shit, bro.
Of course,
honestly,
bro. Of course, but like,
how old are you?
32.
32.
33. Yeah.
Shit. All right. I'm 26, bro. So fucking
jealousy. I'm jealous, bro.
Nah, for what?
Yo, man. Honestly, after 25, that's it. Just start going downhill. You know what I'm saying?
You think so?
Yeah.
I feel like, bro. I feel like 35, bro. Like I'm just like I'm trying to peak at 35, bro. Like.
Yeah, like you just don't have the same energy, man. Like I don't have the same energy as I did when I was 21 or 23 or anything like that. Like it kind of slowly declines. Granted, you're not interested in the same things, but like the energy isn't there, bro. Like it really isn't. Like, you know, and
well, not as much as when you were 20, like in your 20s, in your mid 20s, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's when I was kind of doing the band. I was going to college and stuff. Like, you know, our lead singer, I'm Puerto Rican. You know, our lead singer was Puerto Rican. The drummer was Guyanese, and then the lead guitarist was black. So,
and you guys were making money off that, or like not really, just like hobby.
Yeah, it was like a hobby. We were practicing like in the drummer's basement. I mean, not basement, garage. Yeah. And you know, the only way you can make money on it.
And sorry, the guy was trying to swindle you guys. He was just like trying to tell you to go to Vegas and shit.
Yeah. So the way that all happened was, it was we were playing, you know, just doing regular practice. All of a sudden, this dude at the end of the driveway, because we were practicing in the garage, just looked at us and was just watching us play. And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, can I come in and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, listen, I work with rappers and this and that, and you guys have a sound and this and that. And then, you know, he just started paying for studio time and all this other things. And then, you know, we were doing the studio thing, and then just like all great bands, we just came apart. Like,
okay.
Yeah, so like, you know, we fell apart. You know, we had.
So I don't feel like the guy tried to swindle you. I mean,
he tried, because he was trying to make us sign the contract. Like, he had the contract out. Each of us took it to someone we knew that like either knew contracts or was like a lawyer or business savvy, and was like, yeah, this guy is gonna take you for every single penny you're worth. Like, we had to pay for him.
Yeah.
Like, if he showed up to an event, we had to pay for that. Like, oh, we had to pay for you to be there and pay for your gas and any other expenses you paid.
All right. So yeah, so he did kind of try to fuck you.
Yeah, he definitely did. Like, you know,
that's the corrupt part of this music industry, guys.
Yeah, it's all about like, if you could produce and do everything on your own, good for you. But like, it's hard doing music. Like, you know, my buddy the way it all formed was that I knew the drummer, I was best friends with the lead guitarist, and then he knew the lead singer, and it just all kind of meshed in together. And it was like, hey, we just all kind of came in and figured it out. Like, we even had a show at St. John's, so that was pretty dope. But yeah. So
the transition from band to comedy, how did that happen? So
the way that it happened is, I treated it, when I had my first stand-up show, it was open mic, and you know, you kind of, sometimes they say you got to pay to play. I had to pay to perform, because a lot when you do these showcases or whatever at a club, whether it's Governor's Comedy Club, Broadway, a comedy club, you know, the Stand, there's these shows called bringer shows. So bringer shows means that the only way I can perform and do my time is I have to bring a certain amount of people. So usually you got to bring 3 to 5 people so you be able to perform. If you don't bring those people, you're asked out. Like, you're not performing. Like, sorry, maybe next time.
Oh, okay. Shit.
So the first time I was supposed to have a couple of people show up, no one showed up. So, you know, my girlfriend paid the $50 for the 2 heads to come, so I gave up to perform. But, you know, the way I approached it was, I approached it like the band. I just had my material, and I studied it, and I rehearsed it and rehearsed it and rehearsed it nonstop. Did it in front of the dog, and then you know, we have to.
I mean, for the were you expecting the first time to like be really bad?
I was just going with. I was definitely nervous.
Yeah,
100%.
This would be crazy, bro. Fucking performing in front of people and shit. I feel like I don't even know if I could like go in public, speak in front of people.
It's practice, man. It honestly is practice. Like, you know, I could get on stage right now and just be like, my name is Daniel Ray, and I'm a thank you and good night. Like, you know, but like, it was really just a lot of study and repetition and things like that. And I did great. Like, I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm in front of the camera. No, it was actually a good set. And, you know, the first time like that I was, shout out to Mike Nicolia. He's the one that really put me on to all these shows in Long Island and kind of got me really started, because he was like one of the ones to host the open mics at Governor's Comedy Club. So like, you know, he's the one that says, wow, this is his first time. Doesn't seem like it's his first time. I want to put him on shows. And I didn't take him serious at first. I was just like, you know, this guy's just trying to get to me to talk to my girl. You know, I know how the game works, but now he was actually really interested in me, and he put me on a lot of shows. He even put me on Caroline's and what's called 42nd, and that's like a big comedy club. And that was kind of early in the game for me. Like, you know, I was like maybe 3, maybe 5 months in, and like I was able to get a gig out there. So it was really impressive that I was able to do that and have the opportunity to do that.
And did you have to pay for any of those gigs afterwards, or just like?
They were all bringers, so like I had to bring people. So you know, I had friends that came out. I was still new in the game. I had friends come out. They supported me. Mom came out to support me. My dad even came out to support me once, even though I have a joke about him. Yeah. So, you know,
how did you come up with the material? How did that start?
So I just come up with like honestly, like I just come up with like stuff I talk about with my friends or like real life stuff. Like, you know, I don't sit and write. Like I can't just sit and be like, all right, Dan, think of a joke right now. And I'm like, I just, yeah, it's more of like, it comes organically. And I think that's how I felt with music, that it comes organically. Like I like that beat, or I made a beat or a guitar, a bass riff. And I was like, I like it and I'm going to run with that. And the same thing with the material. But, you know, when you come up with stuff, especially when you're coming up with new material, it doesn't work always the first time.
Yeah.
Like, you know, sometimes it's like you say it, you don't say it right. You might need to change up the wording a little bit. It also depends on the crowd. Like, you know, I definitely would say comedy is like a fickle mistress. Like, you know,
you got to keep switching it up. You got to
adapt to the crowd. Adapt. You got to switch it up. You got to read your crowd. Like, you know, I have jokes that will work on like bros, but, you know, wouldn't work in an older crowd. Like,
damn,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
crazy. Yeah.
So, you know, it's all about gauging your crowd and trying to see what works.
Sorry, what's some of your most favorite jokes that you've done, or like the moments where you've come up with it creatively and you're just like, yo, this is like one of my favorite jokes?
Well, you know, it's actually one of my first jokes, and it's the ones that like I kind of gauge the crowd. Like if I see a group of bros over there and whatever, I'm like, yo, this joke is for you guys, and then I'll say the joke, you know. So it's like, you know, I'm getting at an age where like, you know, I'm starting to feel old, and I'm starting to say things like back in my day. So then, you know, I see my cousin playing Fortnite, and then they do a stupid little dance to show that they won victory. And I was just like, back in my day, we'd play Call of Duty, and then I'll get the final kill on the kill cam, and then I teabag you while I said I was banging your mom last night while everybody will watch.
Yo.
So that's like one of the ones I came up
bro.
with. Yeah. So, you know, it's a lot of just whatever happens in life. I think the best material is real life material, because that's what people can relate to. That's what people could like feel, and that's what make you funny and whatnot.
Like you like coming up with it in the moment.
Yeah, so like, you know, I was having a conversation with someone, and it was about manscaping, and like this is a joke that I haven't even released yet or even said, but you know, I'll say it.
All right.
So, you know, something about manscaping and doing your butthole and whatnot, and I was like, yo, I don't know.
Hey, yo.
Yeah. I was like, yo, like I can't even do that, man. Yo, you know what it is? It's just like when it grows back, it's all rough and prickly. It's like one side is smooth and the other side is rough, like freaking the sand, like shark skin and whatnot. And you see, and like, yo, see, I got a little chuckle out of there. So it's the first time like I said it to someone other than the conversation I had. And I had this conversation like 2 weeks ago. So I'm still working on it, trying to figure it out. But, you know, that's how I come up with the material. It's just I'll have a conversation with people, and I'm kind of a character, and I'll just say like dumb things.
You like test your jokes out on people and shit, and then see what kind of reactions you get?
Yeah, like, you know, a lot when I really was starting out and trying new jokes is like, you know, I have an office job, and like I'll say it to my coworkers and whatnot, and then I'll see their reaction. Then I'll go to my dad and I'll say it to him, and then I'll say it to my best friend, and then if I got enough people laughing, that means I got something. And that's something I like. Now I can take it on stage and see how it works and whatnot. You know, it's very risky to try a new joke on stage, but like you won't know until you do it. Like that's kind of good for the open mic. So like, you know, the difference between like an open mic and like a show is like, you know, a show is like, yo, there's an audience there that wants to laugh. Like it's a real audience. When you go to the open mics, they're kind of more brutal. Like it's more like comedians watching other comedians. And like, and let me tell you, man, a lot of comedians, they don't pay attention to you. They don't laugh. They're too busy looking at their jokes. Everyone thinks they're the funniest guy in the room. And that's not everybody, but I'm not speaking for everybody, but you know, that's just kind of how it is. Like, you know, open mic compared to like a comedy show, open mic humble really quickly.
Yeah. All right.
Like, it's like, man, this joke worked last night, but then I went to open mic and it didn't work this time.
So you put a lot more time into the open mics and then go to the shows?
A little bit of both, because like open mics, you know, they're just random. Like you can just go to one like at any time. Like,
so how often are you doing shows and doing open mics?
So I haven't had any shows in the month of March. I kind of been taking a step back because throughout the pandemic, I've been working on a screenplay. Part of the reason why I've been really focusing on the screenplay is a lot of comedians, like, you need an edge. Like, you know, I don't know if you know Andrew Bach, King Bachelor or whatever. He's like a Vine guy.
King Batch? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yo, he opens up for Joe Coy, and he's been doing comedy.
I love Joe Coy, bro. Joe Coy is
hilarious.
Joe Coy is crazy. He also you ever watch Logan Paul or like YouTube? Yeah, right. You know George Janko from the Impulsive Show?
Sounds familiar.
It's like, so Logan Paul has this like Impulsive set, like a podcast or whatever, and he brought one of his friends on that's also a vlogger. George Janko, and like he's just got into comedy. Like he brought Joe Coy onto the podcast too. So literally, as like a fresh, brand new comedian, before he even went on stage, he met Joe Coy, brought him on the podcast, and then Joe Coy convinced him to do his first show. So he opened for Joe Coy, and then basically he did well, and now he's just fucking grinding, doing comedy and shit
and
like that right now.
He's like an influencer, right? Like he got like a ton of followers.
Yeah, he's a vlogger or whatever, but he's always been like funny. He's always been on the funny side. He just never attempted comedy, and comedies, it can be very nerve-wracking at first, especially.
Yeah, it's not like the Instagram comedians, like they're funny. Like it's
like you're talking about King Batch, right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
like he's a funny dude and everything like that, but he's been doing it a lot less time. But he has the following. He has 22 million followers. Like he'll go to any show, any spot, and sell out because people will go see him. I wanted to go see him. Joe Coy was in New York for a time, but like he wasn't opening up for him. So like, you need some type of edge. Either you need to be making videos or you need to have a following. And I think my niche, or at least my idea of a niche, is like, I'll have this. If I can make this screenplay, what I've written, like be a success or get some type of clout or recognition, that could be a way into getting into the clubs, because it's all about how many asses you can get in the place. Like ass dates. Like
so screenplays.
Yeah, I'm finishing up on one. It was my first time doing it, and I kind of just written it, and I didn't like, put it in screenplay format. No one will read it.
What is exactly, like, because I'm a little confused on exactly what a screenplay is.
So a screenplay is just more of like kind of something that could be put into a movie or some type of play. Yeah. I would like. So
you want yours to be into a movie?
Yeah, I would like it to be in a movie. Just kind of talk about like what it is. It's kind of like office life and just all the things I've experienced in my journey in being in an office. And I think a lot of people could relate to that. Also, it's just kind of like I blended it in with the comedy. So like, I talk about the first time I started comedy and how it blends in, and, life's trials and tribulations and like the struggle I went through, not only just as a comedian, but even as a person, and just trying to grow and dealing with just the struggle of society. We're all struggling here, and we all, have financial burdens and responsibilities and things like that. And I kind of incorporated all that, and how tough it is for us to be a millennial and we can't even afford a house and things like that. So I kind of incorporated all that and, made it into like a fruition, and, tried to embody all the struggle that I felt and try to make it relatable as much as I possibly can.
And you wanted to go into a movie?
I'll take whatever. I will take a comedy series. I'll take Netflix series. I'll take it as a play on Broadway. I just want it to be produced professionally, because I'm not a cinematographer. I don't know the first thing about video editing or anything like that. You could tell amateur to real stuff, like, Yeah. So I feel like I would rather just that to be taken off by that. Someone professional just take it over. But
so how long is the screenplay?
So you got to think of each page as a minute. So I have it for 120 minutes, but it's not finalized in screenplay format. You need to have it in proper script format, because I just kind of wanted to go with it and just like, I'm going to just put pencil to paper and write it all out.
Okay.
So now after I just finished writing it, now it's the process of converting it to script format. So I have 118 pages. That could be reduced, wind up to 110 or 100, depending on how the formatting is. Yeah. Then after I do that is the massive editing, then copywriting, and then trying to push it out there as much as I possibly can.
So you've been doing this for like a year?
Been doing it for a year and a half.
Okay.
I've been doing it all by myself. I didn't really have any help. I kind of just been held up, and I have a spare room, and I just been held up there and like just writing like a madman, like every day. Like I would work. Then after work, take an hour break, and then write from 6 o'clock all the way to midnight or 1 in the morning, and then do the same thing again the next day, and the next day, and the next day.
How do you come up with these ideas? Just like from everyday life, or?
I had a lot of time in the pandemic, and these ideas, I kind of mapped it out. It's like, honestly, like a lot of people nowadays say schooling isn't important, but like this was something I remember in school, and like, I made like a grid, not a grid, but like
Cornell notes.
It's kind of like a brainstorming mat thing, but like, you put you start like with your introduction, then you start building to the climax. So then when you build up to the climax, it's like events that building up to the climax is the breaking point. Then once you hit the breaking point, you kind of bring it all down, and then how does you end it and make it all come together. A lot of it.
So it's really like story writing, right?
Yeah, basically, it's like storytelling.
Storytelling, sorry.
Yeah, so it's like storytelling, and a lot of it was true. Like like a lot of the stuff I written about was true. Like it's real experience I faced and things like that. Like I in a job I worked, there was one of the things I talked about. What's it called? Was like girls used to freaking twerk their ass down the aisle and stuff, and like. With the thing with
girls that twerk their ass down the aisle.
Yeah, and like I exaggerated it. Comedy is an exaggeration, and I think that's the thing that people have a hard time realizing. Like you can talk about your penis, and it's funny if you talk about it if it's big, and it's funny if you talk about it when it's small. So I exaggerated it. So like I had a scene where the girl's like twerking her ass, and then the manager comes, is like, "What are you doing? You can't be doing this, because if you're going to do it, you got to do it like this." And then she starts shaking her ass. And then there's people coming out, freaking seeing them, and there's an audience throwing fucking dollar bills and all that stuff, and like music playing. And then everyone is just continuing with their day. And then it's just like, oh, it's just a regular day. And then boom, end scene, where it's just like that. Like,
holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you clearly put a lot of thought and like effort into it, right? Like fucking a year and a half and shit.
Yeah, because...
Did you stop did you stop going to like open mics and like doing shows?
Yeah, it was a big part of it, because it's hard to kind of do both. Honestly, I have a day job, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. You say you come home after your job, right? From 6 to midnight, right? You're really just
like
writing.
I work from home, That's how I went to college. But I work from home, but still it's a lot. Like it's still a lot to do. Like you're on a computer for 15 hours a day. Like, but if you want something, you'll get it. You'll go after it, whether you're tired. And that's the whole thing with your goals. Like you just got to keep going after it. So that's what I try to do. I got burnt out at one point. I did stop. And that's the big no not to do, because when I started it back up, it's harder. Yeah, I had to reread everything. Like, where did I leave off? Like, okay, I'm at the end and I know what I want to do at the end, but like I need to reread it to get back in the mojo and feel that feel again. So
So do you feel like you're almost done with it?
I am done with the writing part. I finished it this weekend. This has been something that's been a delay for a long time, and I finished it this weekend.
Did you set like a deadline for yourself?
I did, and I missed it. But
how many times have you missed that deadline?
I wanted to finish last summer, so we're approaching spring. So I'm 6 months behind schedule, I would say. But it's only been a year and a half. I did it all by my own. I didn't have a ghostwriter. I didn't have a buddy like helping me out. Like it was just like, all right, just come up with something and think of it. A lot of drunken nights to write it. Stephen King does that, man. He just gets fucking blackout drunk and then just like, I'm just gonna see what happens. And wakes up the next day. It's like, I got a hit.
Do you ever think like you want to make this into like a book, or just you definitely want to make it into like a movie?
I'll take whoever is willing to produce it. Show me the money. Okay. Yeah. Because I have ideas for other movies. Yeah. Honestly, I would like to get paid for my thoughts.
You're putting a lot. So now when you're done with the whole editing, right? Because that's what you're doing. Essentially, you're kind of condensing it. You're making it into script format. Where do you go after there with the script?
So I want to copyright it so no one could steal it off of me. And then I do have a friend that knows a publisher. So maybe it could be a book. Maybe it could be, I don't know, an Office series. I see it as a movie because what was the last Office movie that came out? I don't know, maybe Horrible Bosses. Yeah. That was the really last one. Before that, Office Space. So I feel like this would be a good one. And if this takes off, I can make a sequel easily. And it would be easier because I could focus on that. Like my absolute dream is if I could manifest it.
So what's the story? What's like the main story?
So the main story is just to believe in your dreams, man. Like there's going to be a lot of doubt. There's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations. And, when you're pursuing something, you're going to be filled with doubt. Like, you're going to be like, why am I doing this? I'm wasting my time. I should stick to my day job. And, that's safe and things like that. I'm trying to portray a dream. I'm trying to portray office life, because office life is funny. It's hard, office life sometimes. And not every office job is good. Some are bad. Like some are terrible experiences, but like you meet good people and there's funny situations that arise from it.
So the protagonist is like you in like the show, and then you're like exaggerating like events in your life.
Yeah. So some of it is exaggerated, some of it isn't. Some of it are made up events that I came up with that would be really funny. But most of it, I would say about 50 to 60% of it is actual events that happened. So my absolute dream for this, like, you know, for accomplishment would be this gets produced. Someone says, cool, you got a sequel. Here's some money. Write it. And we'll come back to you in 6 months. And then I make that. And then after I make that, then third one, I don't care. After that, like, it's usually in any type of 3, it's usually like the first 2 movies are always great. And then the third one always like flops. You know? I'm not trying for a flop.
But do you think you like think about all the screenwriters, right? Or all the like, do you think how many times have they written something and then it's failed until they got something that's good?
Well, that's the whole thing. And that's another thing that I did research when I was writing, that if you have a good script and you got good material, it's going to speak for itself. But that doesn't go say, because look at Squid Games. Like, it was produced like years before it became something. And now look, it's the #1 Netflix show. Game of Thrones. He's written that years ago before. And still, like, he's the old man now reaping all the benefits. So I'm not expecting it to be an overnight success. I know it's not. I know
it's going to be a long.
I know I'm going to be
journey.
I'm going to be pushing P on that one.
Pushing that P. So what are you planning on doing after the whole script? Like, do you like, because like that's going to be done, right? That's going to be basically finished. You're going to be just trying to push it. Or are you going to get back into the whole comedy scene? Or are you going to start like...
Yeah, I'm still doing comedy. Like I stopped comedy like literally that whole last summer. I just didn't do any shows. Maybe I did like 1 show a month. Now I'm starting to get more in the feel of it. Like I'm hitting open mics. I got a governor's show like April 5th. It's on a Saturday if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm also going to hit my old stomping grounds of Crabtrees with Johnny Mac. Shout out to Johnny Mac. Really fun place to do comedy. It's in Long Island. But I'm still doing back on it, on doing comedy.
Do you surround yourself with a lot of comedians?
Yeah, I watch a lot of comedy, honestly. Like I tried to watch a lot of comedy, you know, as much as I possibly can. My family's funny, like my dad's funny, my uncles are funny. I get a lot of comedy from them.
Do you feel like your go-to jokes are mostly like family based, or like
go-to jokes is just, I don't know. I don't try for easy jokes. Like, you know, easy joke right now is, and I know you see it all over the internet, is like gas prices. Like, you know,
I was gonna say that right now. Yeah, literally gas prices.
That's just too much of an easy grab. Like, you know, I don't really go for the easy grab. I just kind of go with what I like. Like, you know, I try not to offend. I try not to get too political. I try not to get too dirty. And I think that's like someone, when you first start, it's kind of easy to be like really dirty and talking about butt stuff and all this nasty stuff and your penis and all this other stuff.
That's literally where the fuck where I'm at with my show sometimes.
Yeah, you know, don't get me wrong, it's funny, you know, it's definitely funny to talk about it, but there's like a tasteful way of doing it and a certain way of doing things. So, you know, I try to just go with whatever I feel is funny, and sometimes what I think is funny isn't funny, and that's the whole thing with comedy. Like, you know, we live in this cancel culture. We're canceling Russia, and I think we're doing a great job at it because they're canceling literally everything in Russia.
Yeah.
But Chris Rock said this, and he was like, you know, we're so afraid of the cancel culture that comedians are not daring to be funny. So what's happening is that there are comedians who are not funny getting all these special times and opportunities because they're sticking to the safe side and they're not offending people and things like that. So, you know, it's very hard to kind of walk that line. And as a comedian, you're always walking that line. Like back in the day, like Eddie Murphy's Raw. Like,
but how do you feel about like, so like, because back then, basically what I understand from comedians like Joe Rogan, Andrew Schultz, right?
Yeah.
They basically came up like kind of going to clubs, right, and like grinding, essentially putting a lot of time behind the mic, and then basically like networking in that field. And that's kind of how they built up their little fan bases, right? 100%. Now in this like digital era, right? Like I feel like a lot of comedians are coming up from TikTok, very easy exposure, like you said. Basically like these cheap jokes, which is like gas prices right now, but like they're nailing them. You know what I'm saying? They're 100%. Like nailing it. They're getting an audience, so they build up influence through TikTok. They get paid through that. You get brand recognition like that as well. And then basically people are more willing to come to your shows, right?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Or like doing lives. Like how do you feel?
It's a grind. It's a new way. There's a comedian friend that I know that he's doing it, and he's doing TikToks and making a series. and all that, and he's doing it.
What's his name?
He knows that that's the way. That is the way. Like you can grind it out 100%, but you need to be out there consistently. So that means you hitting, you know, Trevor Noah, he talked about when he first started coming out, and he was like that. He was doing like 3 shows a night. That's a lot. And that's you doing weird times. Like you're doing 9 o'clock, then 10 o'clock, and then a 12:30 show. Like, and then you got to go to work the next day and then be chipper and all that. And then you do it the next day and the next day. So, you know, like how I was talking about earlier, like, you know, you do have to be some type of influencer. You don't have to be, but it helps. It definitely helps because you got the followers. They'll look. Yeah. Why should you perform?
Well, I mean, every comedian is an influencer in every sense of the word, right? Because they're influencing people with their comedy. Like you said, they're creatives, right? Like even what I do is a form of creation, because the way you wrote your screenplay is the same way I'm starting to format some of my videos. I'm starting to I got a whole board out. I literally like fucking write the intro, like the climax, the downfall, like how I'm explaining things. Like I'm getting better every single day. And I feel like by me creating more videos or forcing myself to create a video and think so like, I don't know, like intellectually or like
the way outside the box.
Yeah. I think I try to like I said, I try to get the concept from inside me now, right? Like I'll try to like just walk around, see, like I'll start talking to people and I'll see what kind of conversation comes up. If I'm interested in that, great. That's the topic I'm taking out of it. And then I'm going to connect it towards what I see is trending right now. Right. So like right now for me, it was basically like how Kevin Samuels, you know what Kevin Samuels is? Well, he's like this guy who really talks about relationships, like, and he's very controversial. Right. And then he has like 5 or 6 different criteria about how a wife should behave. Right. So I'm looking at like Euphoria right now, and I see this girl, Maddie. You watch Euphoria?
Yeah,
Maddie, right?
Yeah, I know Euphoria, man.
Yeah. All over my TikTok, just like blowing up and shit. And I'm like, yo, like, all right, let me take Maddie. Let me take these concepts that I've been learning. I've been talking about this with my girlfriend, with her friend, with my other friends. And then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to make this video. So I'm basically going to see, yo, is Maddie wifey material? Yeah. Basically, like that's the topic. And now I'm just like literally breaking down everything. Like, yo, why Maddie is wifey material, why she's not wifey material.
I feel you. Yeah, that's the way. That's the way to do it. You constantly have to create. Like a lot of comedians, you know. I think one of the things is like, you know, I have a couple of my jokes, like on my Instagram, but I feel like once you put it on the gram, it's like you got to come up with something else. Like after that, you got to retire that joke. Like you can't say it again. Maybe you could say it like how I say, like, you know, the joke I said earlier with like, oh, you know, back in my day, like I'll say that on the fly, like, oh, I see there's a really young crowd. You know what? This is what's gonna get them. This is what's gonna start it up. But like you constantly have to create. You constantly have to come up with new jokes because a lot of people who see me one time was like, Danny, you were really funny. I will go see you again. But are you doing any new jokes? No, I'm gonna do the same one. All right, I'll see you next time when you got new jokes. So you constantly have to come up, and I think that's one of the biggest hurdles to overcome when you're creating and you're making content and you're making videos and you're making all this, because we live on the internet, and the internet, there's a bottomless pit. Every
24 to 48 hours, literally TikTok is always refreshing. So every time I'm looking through TikTok, that's kind of where I get a lot of my inspiration from for like videos and shit. Like I'll be like, all right, but in my head, I'm like reverse engineering it. I'm like, what are the people seeing right now? What are they thinking, right? And I love comedy, bro. Like I love like the guy jokes, the guy humor. I just know it's not my thing. I'm more of like let me explain like relationship stuff. Yeah. I think like that's like my niche that I'm going in. But like I said, like just comedians, like I think I see them grinding every day, bro. Just like putting in that work, like coming up with new jokes constantly. And then like you said, like it kind of comes from them in the moment. And they're able to just grasp them because like, oh, I know this work, like 2 months ago or whatever. And this is my kind of crowd. And like, I see that and I'm like, yo, that's like fascinating.
Yeah, it's just like always just going with what works, and if it's relatable, man. Like that, I think that's the best thing. Like you talk about like a sad experience. Like people talk about like, you know, divorce and their dad like not being there for them, but like, you know, you spin it.
The dark humor.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
And then someone else finds it funny because they relate to it. They're like, whoa, my dad was just like that. And in that very moment, the person who connected with you is like, I'm not alone. Like, you know, and I think that's the most rewarding thing. And also the most rewarding thing in comedy is obviously hearing the laughs, but it's really like after the show when you're like, you're done and you're just hanging out backstage, or you're hanging out by the bar and people are leaving, and you're outside just mingling with the comedians, and everyone's like, oh, you were really funny. You were really great. That bit with the dog. Oh my God, that was so funny. Like my dad was the same way. And when comedians come up to you and like, yo, you're really funny. Like, you know, my last show at Broadway Comedy Club last month, one of those comedians, he was hilarious. And he was like, yo, you're really good. Like, you know, you, and it's not, I'm not saying, this is like verbatim.
Yeah, no, it's what he said. Yeah.
It's what he said. He's like, you got real talent. Like, you're writing, whatever you're doing works. And like, you know, I try to think about it when I'm doing my bit because it's an act. I'm not just up there like, the top of the dome. No, this was rehearsed. Exactly. This is how you, this was planned.
So isn't that what some comedians do? Like, they'll have like their rehearsed stuff for the shows, right? And then they'll just make these TikToks to build a following.
100%.
And then they're able to basically transfer them. So do you plan ever on making like videos, or ever transitioning, or even taking that on, or just not interest you at all?
I have ideas. I haven't no way of like how to make it happen. It's just like I don't know. I don't know if that's like my whole thing of doing it. Like, you know, these comedians like Mark Norman and Sam Morril, these are like the newest upcoming guys, and they're hilarious. Like, they have stand-up specials on YouTube, and you know, they're the comedian. They don't make TikToks or whatever, but like it is a way to get into the clubs if you're not networking.
Or like YouTube. Do you ever do like YouTube?
No, I haven't put anything on YouTube. Everything is just on the gram. You know,
because like Instagram is like, honestly, it's so hard to grow unless you're making reels right now.
It's TikTok. That's really
impossible.
Where it's at.
TikTok is the most exposure. YouTube is easier to monetize and get like, I feel like, a real like fan base that really wants to know more about you intellectually.
100%. I'm really just focused on the goal because like, see, because I have another movie idea and it's not even comedy. It's like a horror movie, and I can't say too much about it.
So you're really into screenplay right now.
It just came up organically. I'm watching a video with me and my boy, and then, you know, I was just like, yo, imagine making this like a horror movie. I can't say any of it because like it's something that me and him work on, and we made like a little brainstorming tree, and this is the climax, and this is how it's gonna end, and But you know, I'm want to focus on my screenplay. A lot of people have told me, it's like, yo, you should do TikToks, get your following up 100%. Like, I'm definitely could be doing better and doing more, but you know, it's kind of going at your own pace and whatever you think is gonna work. And like, I put so much time into this that like it truly bothers me that like it's not done. And you know, I'm not, and life just gets in
no, for sure. I'm not saying definitely take that on. I'm saying once you're done, right? Like, what's the next vision? You know, I feel like in order to like succeed in what you want, I feel like you're good. You're putting the time in, especially into screenwriting, and you're creative, bro. You know what I'm saying? You like to do comedy. You might like to do something. You might like to pick on something up organically, right?
Yeah, I plan on just grinding it out again because I was a Long Island comic. I moved back to where I grew up, Cypress Hills. I moved back like a week before the pandemic, and a big part of me moving back is to be it closer into the city. I can't tell you how many Long Island guys want to live in the city so they can do comedy more, because you'll just be more on the scene. You have more opportunity. There's more spots. Like, Long Island is not such a Long Island. It's a really small island. It's a small populated group. And I'm very happy for the opportunity that I started in Long Island. You know, I met a lot of people. It was a good stomping ground. I like to go back. It's very fun every time I go, but the city's where it's at. Being at Broadway Comedy Club, The Stand, you know, Greenwich Village Comedy Club, like, you know, some of those places I perform, that's the place to be. If you could get a prime time at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, especially at the Comedy Cellar, that's the place to be at that time. And, you know, you just have to...
But in order to get those, you need to get SLNC, right?
Yeah, you need to either know somebody, or like they invite you, or like they say, hey, he's really funny. Like, a lot of opportunities I've gotten was because they just saw my stand-up and was like, hey, like, I got a show coming out. Why don't you come and perform on my show and blah, blah. I'm like, yes, of course. Or like, you know, you hang out. A comedy friend, you know, is having a show and you go support. You pay your ticket price. You go there. You sit as an audience member. You're not going to do comedy. And you just watch them do comedy. Like, yo, you're great, da, da, da. And then you get in their ear and be like, hey, you know, if you ever have an opportunity. I think that was the biggest thing that I had to not overcome, but I learned like to ask. I never asked before to perform. I was always asked to perform. So like now I'm like, hey, there's ever opportunity, man, I would love to perform. You know, I'm a bringer. I got people that want to come out to my show. So it's always like, you know, one hand kind of washes the other type.
Well, that's literally, you're negotiating, right? You're like, yo, listen, you know, you're a guy who needs people to come in the show. You always need scouting for new talent, right? And it's like your leverage that you have in order to get into these primetime shows is literally the people that can sit. So it's like, how many people are following me? How many people are really willing to come? So like right now, what I see, since that, like, that's that whole capitalistic the way society kind of goes, right? And it's like through networking, I can definitely see like, yo, like the TikTok guys, like getting those primetime ins like pretty quick. But they also need to master the open mics. They can't just have TikTok and then be like fucking we whack in person, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
they need to have that balance.
Exactly. And I just it's all about practice and repetition, man. It's not hard. It's literally like an act. So it's just one of those things you just got to really grind it out if you have the passion for, if you're funny, because some people, they'll keep going at it and they struggle more than others. But I think every humor is different. Every humor can be funny. It just all depends how you do it. Like I saw an autistic girl perform, and it was pretty funny. She talked about getting the vaccines when vaccines first started coming out. And then she was just like, I don't care about getting the vaccine. What? I'm going to get double autism? And I was just like, yo, that's hilarious.
That's
like
crazy.
So it's all about the grind, and it's all about depending what the grind you want to do is. You do the grind where it's like I'm hitting a mic every night, or I'm on the grind of just, I'm going to do TikTok. I'm going to get TikTok famous and do that.
Well, you could do both.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. You
just,
like it.
It's just, it's one of those things you got to constantly come up with ideas. Like I got opportunities because I put my material up on Instagram and put it on Facebook, and other comedians.
So it's working.
Yeah, other comedians saw my bits and did that. But it's like, I got a couple of jokes that are just so funny. I'm like, I can't let it go. I can't let it go. So part of it is also like, every time you go on stage.
That's what I'm saying. Definitely don't let those go. Just like come up with something else.
Yeah, it's just,
whack is whack.
When they're the bread and butter, that's the thing. It's like the crown jewel of my comedy right now. And it's like, I'm not just ready to let the crown jewel go. Because once someone sees it, then someone who's new is like, you're a friend or whatever. It's like, I want to see your comedy. And you saw all my videos. And it's like, he did the same thing I just saw. Oh, what a waste.
Yeah.
And not every comedian does that. Not every comedian puts their material out. They'll just put their flyers out or just keep grinding it out. So it all depends on the type of guy you are. Like some just straight up, like, I don't put any of my material on, and I'm just gonna do shows and continue doing shows, and they'll just promote it on their Instagram.
But right now, do you feel like you're that kind of guy?
What?
Like you're just kind of you're just doing shows. You're just sticking to shows.
I'm just trying to do the shows, and I'm honestly trying to get my edge. Like how we were just talking about having the edge of just being like a TikToker or anything like that. And I feel like my edge would just be that. That's like, hey, if my comedy script is good enough and funny enough and it gets produced, welcome to the stage, Daniel Ray, who produced, The American Dream. That's the title of it. It's open to change, but produced American Dream and it sold, 2 million in the box office or whatever, 10 million, 20 million. And that's the edge I would have. Like, that would show that because I've written that all by myself. I didn't go to school for writing. I got a degree in criminal justice. Like, so to someone to do that and go completely out of their field and do something left field, like, and I won't know till it's finalized. And it will be finalized by this summer, hopefully. Hopefully, end of the summer, realistically, to have it in script format and things like that. So, that's the niche. And it's coming up with ideas all the time. Like, I think the best thing to do if I was to do that is to do like some type of series or something where it's just like have different episodes of like the same dude or whatnot.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, there was a lot of comedians that.
That's what I'm saying. You already thinking. You know what I'm saying? You're already thinking. I think you got it all there because TikToks are literally a minute.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? TikToks
it's just all coming up with it, and just it's literally the material. Because look, listen, we got all the cameras here, but like you gotta have the cameras and the lights, and then after you record it, it's all about the angles, and then you gotta go on your laptop and edit it. So like, that's another job on the job.
Yeah, no. This is a podcast. You know what I'm saying? This is like I try to do it as like professionally, make it look very upscale and outstanding. This is just like my thing personally, how I want it to be done, but it's not really self-focused on like views. This is more like me being just creative, me being a hobby or whatever, and me focused on like views and like focused on like attention and like basically building like growth, right, is really me focusing on the shorter term videos and just kind of putting those out there. And like, in order for me to be able to keep doing this and in order for me to be successful, I need to give the people what they want, right, or create something for the people. And then this is kind of more for like myself. And then as I build my brand, then people are going to essentially be like, oh, he has a podcast. So let me hear what he has to say. But first, in order to get that attention, I need to put something like I need to make these small little videos that'll kind of grow that community. For you, it's the Screenplay right now. Yeah. So I kind of see that. But I feel like you could do it, bro. I feel like you because if you could write a screenplay, bro, right? You could write this whole like big 120 to 115 pages. You can definitely do like a 1 minute skit on TikTok like every 2 or 3 times a week.
It's coming up with ideas, man, being consistent. Like that's another thing. You have to be consistent.
Yeah.
That's how you do it, because every comedian has a podcast, and how many people start podcasts that just wind up ending and, you know, it doesn't continue.
Well, it ends and then they pick up on something different. You know
That's
what I'm
true.
saying?
And that's the
you
thing
know,
with comedy.
and that's what you're doing, right? You're like, yo, like once the screenwriting thing is done, either I'm gonna keep screenwriting or I'm gonna pick up the mic again, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's just a hustle. It's just a hustle, and then building your brand, building your name up, getting yourself in front of a lot of people, and then essentially, you know, like them, you're convincing them to keep watching you, right? So it's like, what's your creative way of doing that?
Yeah, it's just like I said, man, consistency is just, you know, comedy was just always something I like ever since I was younger, even like, you know, before, like, you know, I thought about doing comedy, even before it was a thought in my early teens. I'll just have conversations with random coworkers. Like, yo, that's the way you think? That's so funny, man. Like, if you did comedy, I would go see you. And like for a long time. And then, you know, the band was dead for like, you know, I don't know, like 3 to 4 or 5 years. And then, you know, my girlfriend's the one that pushed me, and that's how it started. Like, I remember, you know, I haven't thought about this memory in a while, but one of the first comedians I've ever saw and watched when I was really young was John Leguizamo, Freak. And then I remember I was at a funeral home, and, you know, these kids were sad. And then I just started doing the John Leguizamo bit, like word for word, verbatim. And they loved it, and it was funny. And I did like maybe 10, 15 minutes of it because I watched it. But, you know, it was back in the day with like VHSs and, you know, HBO. My mom, like, you know, bootlegged it with the VHS and recorded it. And I must have watched that thing like 50 times, like, you know. And shout out to the Latinos, man. Like, you know, we're like the forgotten people. And like, you know, it's nice to see that our people still make it. And John Leguizamo is a comedian that I still follow, and like he's really funny and things like that. But like that was kind of like the first time I've like done something like that, where like branched out and did comedy other than just being a funny little kid. Like, you
know what, that's a very important thing. It reminds me of like great artists steal, right? They basically take something that they see and they just kind of imitate it, and then they put it out there and it works. And then that was your intro, right? Like that was like you putting that energy out there, and then you started like doing your own thing.
Yeah, and like definitely one thing, big taboo on comedy: you do not steal people's jokes.
Yeah,
like, you know, you get canceled for that.
Everybody steals everybody. Everybody steals everybody. Like everybody, they don't steal the whole, like the punchline and all that shit, right? But maybe they'll steal like parts of it, like the theme, the topic, right? That's why it's like hot, trending topics.
Look where he is at now. Like, you know what I'm saying? He stole.
We'll say it's like gas jokes, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everyone's done it, but like you don't, like, you know, I've heard this one joke, this comedian.
Well, you don't pass it off as yours, right? You just
But I would dare not go on stage and repeat something a comedian said.
No. Obviously, what I'm saying is you just manifested it by saying it to other people, right? You obviously, you know, you just told a joke as you saw it, right? And then you saw, people are getting a reaction out of this. Like, maybe I could just come up with my own, right?
Yeah, and I was a little kid. I think it might have been like 8 years old or something like that.
Yeah,
so it was definitely like one of the,
but it's like for
beginning steps.
Exactly. For some people, they don't hit that until they're like 35.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And it's like with any new skill that you're doing, right? You gotta just steal it. You gotta steal. Yo, you want to learn editing? Cool. Look a video and then try to do that same exact video. Can you do it?
We live in a day and age where every question can be answered by Google. Like, you know, just like, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you change the bottom of the kitchen sink? 15-minute video of Bob the Builder doing it.
But it's like, it's one thing to watch, and then there's nothing to do it, right? 100%. A lot of people get analysis paralysis because they literally just sit there and they watch and they consume and they consume and they consume, and they think about doing it, but they never actually put together a strategic, creative thing and then put their time into it and then put it out there. A lot of people get stuck on just watching other people do things.
I think also just like, you know, I kind of caught the, not late in life, but I wish I found this out sooner, that I wanted to pursue this, because like I would have been farther, I could have been better. But like it's I kind of discovered that, like, not discovered, but like just watching all these people and seeing these things, like people are like, you know, how do you find what you're good at? Like, how do you find what's your purpose in life? And the way you find it is, I've read this, and it's called Robert Greene. He written the 48 Laws of Power.
48 Laws of Power, yeah.
But he also has the book Mastery, and he breaks down like how to become a master in anything. In anything, it could be building a house, it could be construction work, it could be arts, it could be literature, whatever. But it's the way you find yourself and you find those things is whatever brings you joy, whatever is easy for you, that came out easy. Like some people could pick up a guitar and learn it faster than a regular person and they never picked up a guitar before. Or, you know, you enjoy working with your hands, or you enjoy drawing and you have a special talent because you're able to pick something up. And that's what I discovered with myself, that is like doing comedy. It's something I enjoy, but it's also something that comes easy. Like, you know, I was always kind of like the skinny kid, you know, I had messed up teeth and all that stuff. And like, I felt like my niche to get girls was to make them laugh. Like, you know, Marilyn Monroe said, you make a girl laugh, you can make her do anything. And if any proof of that is true, look at Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian. There's hope for everybody. Like, so, you know.
Yo, that's crazy, bro. Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian is kind of wild,
I think, honestly, I think how he gets women, he's just like, my dad's dead. And I got a real large penis. Come look at it. And then boom, he just gets them. Because like, yo, his record is very impressive. Okay, like he is bagging them left and right. I want him and Kim Kardashian to break up just to see who he bags next. Like, I'm hoping he just bangs one of the Jenners next. Like, yo, from Kardashian to Jenner, like, let's do this. Like, so it gives hope to us all, honestly. Shout out Pete Davidson, I guess.
Shout out Pete Davidson. That's funny. No, but yeah, going back to the, you know, Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power and how to like master things, right? I think, you know, it's definitely true that you got to just pick things up. I think it's just like, you got to, sometimes it doesn't even come that easy. It's just look at where your attention is, right? Because every time we do something, every time we take action, first we have attention, then we like gravitate towards where our memory goes. Then we go towards like what our experience was, right? And then we start coming up with the thoughts and the ideas and brainstorming, and then we plan that out, and then we take action, right? Yeah. So it's like, I think people can get so stuck on like, or they don't even realize what they're focusing or where their attention is at, where their interest is at. And it's just like, yo, it doesn't even have to be easy. It could be hard. Just do it. You know what I'm saying? Just start doing it. You got to start just fucking putting shit together. Like me, when I started this podcast, I was literally watching this TV right here in the living room during COVID. And I was watching the Impulsive Show, and I've been watching Joe Rogan for years. And I'm like, bro, like, I'm chilling around, just sitting around watching these guys talk. And I'm like, dude, like, I can do the same thing, bro. I'm like, it's probably easy. They just press a button on. And I realized how fucking hard it was, how fucking expensive it was. And I went out there and I keep doing it till this fucking day, bro. I ended up fucking just falling in love with the process.
I think a lot of, and you see, it's also just about going for it, like how you just went for it. And you said it was financial that you had to put into it, and time and effort and energy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of problem we have with today is there's just too much distraction. You have too many options.
Like, you gotta be disciplined. Yes.
And it's also discipline.
Self-discipline.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like you do it when you're tired. You do it when it's daylight savings, and you know all this other stuff. And you know it's the consistency. So I think it's just finding what you want, and it's also just being consistent, and it's also just not being distracted, because there's a lot of distractions. Your job, your girl, if you got kids, you know, you're tired, you're broke, you got no money. Like, you know, and
social media
is the big downfall, man. It helps you, but it also cripples us so much. Like our ideals of women, it's just so misconstrued. Like
that's exactly kind of what like the show is kind of centered around a little bit. Is like, I really want to speak to women. I want to speak to men about like relationships, and like people just, every time I post a TikTok about that, people just seem to gravitate towards that. So it's like, nice. That's kind of where my attention is focused on, like building up, because I'm a single child, and then I grew up fatherless as well. So it's like, I know there's a lot of guys out there who don't even know who to watch to really, or who's entertained, and really
who to look up to.
Yeah, who to look up to like, yo, how do I talk to girls? You know, what should I do? How do I get their interest? Like all this shit I had to teach myself through like self-discipline. And like, again, I was very distracted like 3-5 years ago, right? I was really pretty much just fucking swiping through Instagram, sitting down, watching TV, just like doing my job in and out. And I'm like, bro, this shit is like, I'm miserable doing this job. I love the job. I love bartending, but I just don't want to do just this and rely on just this for the rest of my life. So I started literally looking at social media as a tool, as opposed to just like a distraction. And I still get distracted to this day. Still always like the TikTok was probably the worst thing I've ever fucking opened up, because it's a black hole, bro. You just literally get stuck swiping and swiping and swiping. So I have to really teach myself, yo, I give myself 30 minutes, literally. I'll fucking put a timer on. I'm gonna look through TikTok, and I'm literally looking for specific things that people are paying attention to. right? And then now I'm doing like little reactions and shit. But it's like just little things like that, and then like working now, getting my health right, and then just being consistent, like you said, on a daily basis, grinding every fucking week, improving thumbnails. Like for me, it's just video editing and like talking and shit like that. But I find that really interesting.
Yeah, it's retraining your brain, man. Like, you know, every guy has this. They all follow some type of Instagram girl. Like, you know, I think, like, you know, part of the purge process did I like unfollow a lot of them. I still follow them. I'm not gonna lie and be like, I don't follow all and any of them. No, I still follow some, but like, think about it. What you're viewing on your phone, you're constantly seeing that. Like girls with big boobs and ass. And like, scientific fact, you know why you like girls with big boobs and a big ass? Because in our primitive brains, we still have primitive brains. In our primitive brains, we see that woman, she's good for reproduction. Why do you think girls like tall 6-foot dudes brawling and all this?
That's like a primal thing.
He's gonna be good for reproduction, but also to protect it.
Security. Yes.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't understand that. Like, and it's like, yo, that's the reason why we're attracted to all that. Yeah, there's personality. Yeah, there's her eyes and her smile and the way she makes me feel. And I just float in the sky when I see her. But in reality, why you like that big old ass? Because it's just she's good for reproduction. So, you know, it's retraining our brain. Like, you know.
Well, it's really, it's not just the ass, it's the hips. Right?
Yeah, the whole package.
The primal thing is like women are naturally, they have more muscle, like down hips. On childbearing. And that's why, because like we as men, we want to reproduce, right? We want to produce with the woman that's essentially going to give us like the most children. Like that's kind of like built into our DNA, right? That's how we, as a human species, we like literally reproduce. So it's like childbearing hips, like apes, they literally see that in women they want to mate with, and it's like, yo. It literally speaks to our society. Like, look at all these. That's why. That's where it ties back to the whole. How many guys are following these girls with fat asses on Instagram, right? Or with like big hips and shit like that, and like thick thighs.
Let me tell you, man. If a girl from OnlyFans was to be a comedian, she would be a successful comedian overnight, guaranteed. Because she has the followers. How many creepy dudes would just show up to where they're at and be like, "Oh man, I finally saw her in person, and she was at this spot." Is the saddest thing. Girls with OnlyFans would be the like top-notch bringer show comedians.
Nah, I don't think so, bro. Because it's
I'm not saying they're funny, but I'm just saying they got the following, man.
Yeah.
They got
like they'll get on stage, but they'll flop easily, 100%. So easily. You know what I'm saying?
But you know that's also another problem you could just say in society. It's like you're putting all this unrealistic expectations on women. Like women that have small boobies are like, look at her boobs. Like, why are my boobs not like that? And like, I need to get a boob job and go to DR and spend $20,000 or $10,000 to get, you know, the whole thing done. So you can feel better about yourself because Kim Kardashian and all these other people have made you feel like if your boobs are sagging, they're not perfect and you're flawed and you're not good enough. And that's the whole thing. It's like, you're not good enough and that's the whole thing. We all want validation. And I think as comedian, validation for us, you know, is more of just like, hey, I was on stage, I was funny, I killed it. And that's it. And then the hard thing is when you have a shitty night or you bomb 3 nights in a row, 4 nights in a row, and it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I should just focus on my job. And it's like, no, like I'm going to continue. And I think that's shows the grit and the resilience of.
Did you have that happen to you?
Yeah. There's not one comedian to this day that has not bombed. Even Bill Burr bombed. But like, you know,
I think that's great. That's how you evolve, right? That's
you learn from it. You see what works. You see what doesn't work. Sometimes even the jokes that worked yesterday didn't work today.
Yeah,
and you could figure out why. Sometimes it's the crowd. Crowd. You know what? Someone who was terrible went before you, or someone who was phenomenal went before you. And it's like, I got to follow that act. Yeah. So, you know, it all depends what you bring on stage. I feel like when you're on stage, you have people's attention for the first like 3 minutes. If you got an 8-minute set, you got 3 minutes for the attention. Then you got like that in between time where someone get a text, drink their drink, not really pay attention to you, talk to somebody real quick. And then kind of you got like the last like 2 minutes to like really bring it all home and have them pay attention. And then when you're trying new material, like, you know, you should always just like go with what you know, what's tried and true. In the middle, throw that in there somewhere, and then just finish off strong. And that's the way you can kind of have a good set, you know. So it's always, and it's also about placement too.
It sounds just like just like storytelling.
Yeah,
like literally like writing a story. Like that's also like TikTok, bro. Right there. You just said, bro, 3 minutes. Like
all
you
right,
know
all right.
how
I think
to
I'm
pay
gonna
attention.
make a TikTok,
bro.
soon.
Make a fucking TikTok, bro. Do it, but do it after all your shit. You know what I'm saying? Try it out at least. If you don't like it, if it's not for you, say fuck it.
Yeah, and
You know what I'm
I
saying?
follow a couple of TikTok people. Ken Stars, man, like he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like
you said, King Batch in the beginning. We were talking about him, right? He started from Vine. Vine fell off. I watched him. I started watching him on YouTube too. He was doing like acting, like Denzel Washington and shit like that.
He has a lot of movies.
And now he went to fucking like Netflix and shit. And bro, I've seen this guy fucking grow like in the last fucking 10 years, and I'm like, damn, bro, this dude started from Vine, it fell off. And then he did comedy. He's done so many different things. It's insane.
Yeah, man. Like, it's the consistency. And he got early on the niche, man. Mm-hmm. He got early
on TikTok is early, bro.
Yeah, it's like getting on NFTs or crypto. It's like, come on, man. Get on it early.
Get on it early.
Yeah, get on it early, man. So,
no, NFTs.
Yeah, I could talk about that all day, man. Like, but...
You got NFTs?
Nah, you know what it is? I was going to get a Rengoku one, and a Rengoku one was supposed to be like, and I might not even be saying the name right, but it was supposed to be samurai armor. You buy samurai armor, but the utility of it is that you can, it's played in a game. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, oh, that's not just me buying a picture and it's like, all right, I'm in this club or whatever. No, this is played in a game. I could see this being as a DLC. But then what happened was they messed up on the release date, and then it was only the whitelisted people that could get it. So you had to be like in the know,
in the Discord, to get it. Yeah.
And I was in the Discord. I joined all that. I was following it. I had my money saved. I had my wallet full in Coinbase ready to buy it. And like, dude, now I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Now there's like invisible friends, and what they're doing with the NFTs now is that they're building on top of the blockchain. So what that means is with invisible friends, they're starting to make, I guess, background for it. So the invisible friends is like an NFT where it's just an invisible guy walking, and they got all different stuff going on with them. But then I guess what they're trying to do is they're like going to have like a garbage can, and you could buy the NFT garbage can, or there could be a forest behind them. So that's kind of building on the NFT, because I got in, there was some stuff I wanted to buy and I got on it late. And I was like, I asked one of my buddies, like, hey, are they ever going to remake it again or remint it or make others? They're like, no, that's it. You either get on it or you don't. And then you miss the train. So I'm trying to get on that train next, because it was very discouraging. It's like Pokemon cards. You got to believe in it. Like, not every single one is going to be, oh, yeah, well.
I got the set right here.
Well, those are sealed. Those would definitely be worth money.
Yes.
I collect the Funkos. I got like almost 100 of them, just about. And they all went up in value, and they're going to continue going up in value. So, and I have them they're all boxed. They all got like a little protective case on it. But definitely, like, it's always good to collect something, I think. I mean, it's Yu-Gi-Oh cards and our Pokemon cards, man.
Yeah.
Back in the day, they're worth thousands. Dude, I had VHSs of Disney movies, and I gave them all away because back in the day, nobody can.
Dude,
you know how much like a Bambi is worth, or Sleeping Doors, Snow White and the
Damn, I
Seven
didn't
Doors?
even think about that.
Bro.
I had that, or I might have it. I don't know.
Yo, look in your attic, bro. Look wherever you got it, because dude, they're worth money. Something about the way they were printed on it, or like the version, I don't know, but like they are worth thousands of dollars for
people. It's a sentiment. I
guess
right?
it's the sentiment. It's just like
and now it's rare because everybody can see that shit on digital, but can you see it in VC?
Yeah, like the world ends.
VCR,
I still got it, bro. I still got it.
The internet
went watch it. You can watch it.
Got that shit.
Yeah.
Have you at all jumped into the metaverse, the Oculus, or the Oculus 3?
I haven't got into any of that. I've been watching it like very closely. I just kind of been stacking my chips up. Honestly, it's so new. It's definitely something like Sony is buying. I think, did Sony buy Bungie? Or is all these companies like Microsoft? I think Microsoft bought Blizzard, right?
Microsoft bought Blizzard, yes. And they bought Bethesda, I think.
Yeah, and Sony might have bought Bungie or something. Sony bought like a big gaming company. But look at all these companies buying these things. Like, they're preparing for it. It's something that's going to be real. Like, it's going to be Ready Player One. Look at the PS5 and the Xbox. Why is no one buying it? Yes, because there's the shipping crisis. There's no games for it.
Shortage supply.
Yeah, but think about like how games were when we were younger. You had Super Nintendo. Wow, you know, groundbreaking. Then you had N64, another one, PlayStation, Sega Dreamcast, and then the graphics got better, the gaming got better. Then you had Xbox, and then Xbox 360, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. They all been groundbreaking and different. Now, I think what's going to be the future is literally the VR, like all this other stuff. You got virtual porn. You know, you could do everything in VR. You can even see it on your phone where, like, you know, you'll have
porn.
like a picture and then you just go like that and you see like the whole 360 of the picture. So it's something that is definitely possible. Crypto is another thing. You know, Bitcoin is definitely.
Have you heard actually of in the metaverse or in the Oculus, when you buy the Oculus, right? There's something called Rec Room, and there's actually comedians going on Rec Room and literally doing stand up.
I didn't hear about comedians doing that, but I know like.
Well, I don't know comedians, but there's definitely people. Well, there's definitely people who literally just like normal everyday people. They'll go up and they'll go into like a show, and it'll be literally like a real legit fucking show with a stadium or whatever. And you go on, and you're just like, yo, hey, my name is this, and you just do your bit.
I gotta look into that.
You should do that, bro. You should do that. That's what I'm saying. You into NFT, bro.
Justin Bieber did that, and then I'm not sure if Meg Thee Stallion just did a show on it, but I know Justin Bieber had a show in the metaverse. Like, well,
the rec room is literally just like, it's like, imagine, I guess, like a Facebook or whatever. You literally just get to walk around with your avatar and just talk to a bunch of different people. And then they have like little spots, I guess, you can kind of go up to. You literally just go up there and it's just like people are just chilling. They're just vibing or whatever. They're just mingling in the community. And you'll just go up on the stage and just do your thing.
So you're saying I got to be the first stand-up comedian in the
Not the first. There's already a bunch. You know what I'm saying? There's already a bunch. I think, and the reason why I heard of this was because I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and one of his friends that was on his podcast was telling him about how he was doing comedy stand-up shows in the metaverse through Rec Room. So it's like, I don't think anybody needs to like
just go in and just
go in and like basically go on the stage, or like just go in and just start like cracking jokes, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, you know, give like a performance.
And speaking on the metaverse too, just with these big companies getting in it, even Nike has made a copyright where you cannot have anything digital Nike. So if your avatar got a couple of ones on, and you didn't purchase it from Nike, you're gonna get sued. So
that's
your online ones could be worth more than the one on your feet. Like that. That's to show like how real that it's gonna be.
That's crazy. Imagine buying Yeezys on the metaverse,
like, I don't
bro.
buy them on me, but digitally, bro, come see me in the metaverse.
We got a shortage supply, bro. We don't got enough for everybody.
Yeah, and they're trying to do things like that with sneakers now. Like I hate the sneaker game now. I absolutely hate it, because back in the day, Jordans will come out. They'll be out for 6 months. You could go to the store and pay whatever price. Now you got to enter a draw, or get lucky, or go to like Flight Club and pay like $250.
There's a whole stock market for sneakers now, bro. StockX, bro.
Yeah, man. So like, it's not like how it used to be where you spend $120. Like now, $120 gets you okay sneakers. You want a couple of fly pair of sneakers, you're paying like $160 and up. Like, and me, I can't spend more than like $300.
I mean, you got fly sneakers right now, bro.
Oh, well, that was a Christmas gift. Let's just say that was a Christmas gift, and they were cheap when they were bought. Like now they're worth a little bit more, but I've been on the lookout for sneakers, and I've been just trying to keep the sneakers clean and whatnot. But that's another thing. Buy Nike, like look into all these companies that are doing all these things, because their stock price is gonna go up. It's just. You know what it is? Why it's not popping off so much? Because people don't believe in it, one. Two, all that Oculus stuff costs money. How much does Oculus cost? Like $600, maybe a G?
300, bro.
300? Wow.
Bro, that's what I'm telling you. It's cheap. It has 218 gigabytes or 20 gigabytes, some shit like that. The games, bro, a game that looks just like Call of Duty, real life Call of Duty, I have it. We can fuck around with it right after this fucking podcast. I'm serious, but this might fucking change your shit. I showed it to my cousin, and he literally was hooked. Like, bro, I'm buying this shit tomorrow. I was like, 300? What? I let my grandparents use it, all this shit, and they're like all fucking amazed by it.
How's your eyesight after it? Because they say don't stare in front of a TV, and you got a TV like an inch away from your eyes.
The thing that annoys me about it is the battery life is low, but that's probably a good thing. But it's just the strap itself. It can kind of bug you after like 30, 45 minutes. I have not found myself playing with it for more than like an hour or whatever. Either way, I think that's a good thing. So you're not really, you just enjoy like a nice little hour on it. I like to play poker VR.
Oh, nice.
Like I like to literally just.
Can you win real money?
No, it's fictitious money, but I still get the same gambling kick. Yeah, because to me, I look at it as like a skill based game or whatever. So like, you'll sit down with like real people like around you or whatever. And you're just talking the shit. You're like playing the game. And you're like observing other players, and that's what I'm saying, bro. Like this, it feels better than in real life sometimes, which is crazy because like you're in a crazy environment. It feels like you're actually there, and then you just have your own avatar and. They created like cigars and shit. You can literally like puff cigars, like literally take a gun out, like shoot people and shit, like while you're sitting at a table.
That's the scary thing with it, because I feel like when you start getting into these war games and they got scary games and all that other stuff, I just feel like it might cause like post-traumatic stress and all that. And it's like the VR made me do it because I didn't know it was real life or fake. Like
that's what they were saying about games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's what they're saying about games. It's like yo, like, are we gonna tippy toe and like cautious around like everything? It's like, yo, like this is where games is going. This is where the direction games are going in. Like we're not gonna sit here and like fucking. Some people are gonna be scared. Don't play the fucking game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Grow some fucking balls, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like the real world is tougher than this fucking online Oculus shit.
Well, I would say like Resident Evil.
That shit's scary, bro. I'm not fucking around with
right?
that, bro.
Biohazard, the one in their house. Yo, the first like 15 minutes was fucking terrifying. And like,
I'm a pussy for that,
dude,
bro. I can't with horror games
and everything. And like, I don't suffer from crazy anxiety. We all have some type of form of anxiety experience. That game caused a lot of it.
Fucks you up. What I will tell you this though, you definitely get motion sickness because in the gun game, I forgot what it was called, bro. I forgot what it was called, but it's like a Call of Duty game, right? And you're like going in, and when you go up and down, you feel the shift. You feel the change in altitude, right? So like, when you're in a roller coaster experiencing going up down, it's like a weird feeling, but you're going up and down, so you get motion sickness.
Have you crashed into a wall? Yeah, I feel like that would happen to me.
No, not yet. But I mean, because they're good about it. Because trust me, when I show it to you, you literally draw a line around you, or you can be stationary, sit down.
Gotcha.
And then every time you go past the line or whatever, you'll start to see actual like what's outside the line. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
When you're inside the line, you're just seeing them at like.
I gotta look into that now. Maybe that's just the way.
No, we are
tired to go out into the city. You know what? I performed in front of 50 people tonight, and they loved it.
Exactly, but also TikTok Live, bro. TikTok Live. Yes, you ever even use TikTok?
Nah, I don't even have a TikTok. Dude, I am so behind the times. I guess because I'm just old man Dan, and it's like, I don't want to do TikTok and dancing and all that.
But I know, I think it is great that you're like kind of like you maybe don't find them interesting too much, right? I think maybe you need to try it first, but I think it's good that you're still keeping like this like traditional way of like doing things, right? Which is like writing screenplays. I know people are doing those still every day, but it's like that's not where most people are at. So I feel like definitely, like you said, like in a few years, like this could be like something huge, and you should 100%. Keep working on that for sure, because you put so much fucking time into it.
Also, it's just like with movies, like they're just remaking things. There's nothing new, there's nothing fresh, and like the ideas I have are like new, fresh movies. Like honestly, I got into anime as an adult. I wasn't into it as a kid, and they should make anime movies. Dragon Ball Z movie sucked, but if you get the guys who made The Matrix and maybe Lord of the Rings or whoever, yo, it would be phenomenal. And they have a huge fan base. Like I got into Demon Slayer, and like I just started watching it on Netflix, and then season 3 just finished, and I just read the manga, and it was amazing. Like blew my mind. And that could easily be a movie, a trilogy movie or a series movie, something, because just there's like no budget they had like on it. Just the not special effects, just the drawing and all the editing. It was really good. And like I think like anime would be a good topic to explore in the movie business, or just real life. Like you got the cartoons and all that, but like we all want to see like special effects and graphics and all that.
Yeah, like right now we're in the whole like Marvel, the kind of like DC like superhero.
Oh, and I'm enjoying it, because back in the day there was no such thing as that. Like a lot of people like our parents' generation are really big into Star Wars, and I like Star Wars, but I'm not like a diehard fan. But you got to understand, when those movies came out, that was the first time the CGI. Bro. That was groundbreaking CGI. And to us, it was like, oh, we grew up on Xbox and, all this stuff, and we saw it. But like back in that time, that was mind blowing how they did all that. Like, and that's the whole thing of just like coming up with new ideas, being original, and that's the whole thing.
Innovation, pushing yourself.
Exactly.
Pushing
yourself. And I think that's what comedy does too. You can be yourself, because I think a lot, like, those 8 minutes you're on stage, or, if you're a real seasoned comedian, you're getting 15 and 30 minutes, it takes a long time to get that time. But like in your short 8 minutes, like, I'm in control. I can say whatever I want. I can say whatever I believe in. And, when you're famous and you hit a certain time, you could get canceled, and you got to really watch what you say. But like, I think the beauty of, like, if you're starting out as a comedian, you can kind of almost say whatever you want. And, people, you might offend some people, but like, you're not going to get canceled. Like, no one's going to remember, I remember I saw him when he was this up and comer. And it's like, I remember that joke.
What I think about cancel culture is more like cancel culture really affects artists that are so reliant on brand money. And brand money comes with like attention, and it comes with with like how sensitive are people towards this subject or whatever, right? So as long as you not stay away from it, but you leverage yourself in a way where it's like, I'll be risky with my comedy because I want to be risky. Like, look at Joe Rogan. Like, Joe Rogan says whatever he wants whenever he wants.
Man, he has too much of Spotify's money. So even if they were to cancel him, he's like, he has a lot of our money. We got to keep him on. Maybe they
exactly. But that's what I'm saying. That's the way he leveraged himself, because had he gotten paid less, or had he not negotiated correctly, he would have easily been taken over. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think you need to find like that balance with cancel culture, and then if it does happen, you just need to own that shit. You need to really own that shit.
Even Dave Chappelle, man, he's too big to fail. Yeah, he got a lot of backlash for everything, but like, I think he stood his ground and he defended himself, and I think a lot of things get taken out of context, and I think part of the problem,
everything is taken out of context.
Yeah, they just take a piece of what you said and then was like, he said this, and no.
Exactly.
But like, also the thing with the internet is like, there's always, we're divided nowadays. Like, we are like,
well, we're addicted to drama. Everybody's addicted. That's human nature. It's human psychology. So it's like the first thing that you see is always going to be like a negative sentiment. It's always going to get the most views and the most clicks. And I think the way to tackle cancel culture is not to really like bitch about it, but just own it.
Yeah, to say, I'm sorry, I'll be better, let's move on. Like, I think that's the best thing.
Not even the I'm sorry part. I think the I'm sorry part is really leading you. Maybe it might soften the blow right now, but as it moves forward and you're kind of allowing like this like cancel culture to like be right, and you're not just owning it, like, yo, bro, this is what I did. Yeah, maybe I fucked up, you know what I'm saying, but this is how I grow, and this is how I do better. And that's really it. It's like, there's no apology that needs to be done unless you've offended a certain group of people or somebody specifically.
But everyone's always offended. That's the thing. And that's the hard line of walking with comedy. Everyone's offended. Everyone's easily offended. And then,
have you ever offended anybody on stage, or have you ever felt like you offended somebody, or you're about to?
I kind of like called out like a comedian one time. Like, she had this whole thing of like her whole bit was just like, her getting laid, and it's hard being a female stand-up comedian, because like, dick jokes could go all day long, but then the second you say a vagina joke, it's like one is already too many, and it's like a double standard for women. And like, there was this one time I got at a girl comedian where I was like, can someone bang her already? But I was like, oh wait, don't do that, because then you just took her whole bit. So like, she got offended after that and was like, yo, I didn't like that you did that, and blah blah. And I was like, oh snap, maybe I should have took it back.
What? See that's so weird.
I just said it was constructive criticism.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is, but it's also almost like a roast, you know what I'm saying? But also like, I don't know.
It wasn't a roast. It was just, we were doing a show. Yeah. She was before me, and she just, was.
But you roasted her.
I just kind of just said a snickering comment. Like,
you roasted her, bro.
I walked on stage and I was just like, can just someone bang her already? And then everyone laughed. I was like, wait, but don't do that, because then she won't have no material up here. So
it's a roast. You roasted her, but it's like y'all comedians, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is a competitive environment.
And it's happened to me, very early.
Yeah. How many times they shit on you?
Yeah, exactly. Whereas like this guy's like, oh, he's really talking about, his penis or whatever. And I was like, oh man, maybe I should have dialed it back a notch. So
yeah.
I just think like as a female can't stand up, it's double standard. But like, there's also beauty in it where like, they'll have that edgy joke where they could talk about being slutty or talking about daddy issues, and they'll really make it come to light, and they'll connect with the female audience and things like that. Because in comedy, you might make this group laugh, but then you might not make the other group laugh. So it's all about like finding your audience and who's really there. Because, if you're Kevin Hart or any stand-up comedian, it's your people that's going to see you, not like other people.
But it's like they've went through every struggle that every comedian is going to go through, right? You know what I'm saying? So in order for them to have built that, they needed to find these niches audiences and then, offend certain people and then not offend certain people and then even isolate themselves and then really grow that by like changing their comedy and adapting it so that it's like more general for everybody and then, deliveries and
and a lot of thing too is there's comedians that just try to focus on being clean, and there's an art in being clean, because it's always easy when you like you go dirty, like it's funnier, it's this, it's that, but when you're clean, you open yourself up to more, like you're not hearing people talk about profanities on Jimmy Fallon or any of those things. It's usually straight clean comedy. You can walk that line, but like as a comedian you're always dancing on that line of being too inappropriate but being funny, or offending and not being offensive, and being too political and not being political. And I try to stay away from politics at all costs, because you could divide the room like that, and then that's how you get to start really offending people and all that. You can have your opinions and whatnot,
but I think, see, like I said, like people are naturally attracted to drama, right? So as soon as you talk about it, people are immediately going to gravitate towards that because they want to say something bad about it, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, and then that's where your skill as a comedian is like, I'm navigating the fucking room.
Yeah, and then you get hecklers, people that will say your punchline right before it, or they'll laugh too loud.
Oh shit, I never thought of that.
Yeah, it happens, and that throws you off your rhythm. But sometimes if you're a seasoned comedian, like you can backtrack that and be like, oh well, yeah, I was gonna say that, and like look at this fucking guy over here, like trying to saying all my material. Like, are you done, ma'am? And sometimes people get kicked out for that because they're just consistent. They'll do it to one comedian, then they'll do it to the next guy on stage and the next. And, all of a sudden...
Have you gotten heckled a lot?
It happened to me a few times, and it has thrown me off my rhythm. But then I was just like, well, you can do it up here, sir. Like, if you know my jokes, like, And I was like, well, this guy's talking about experience. He's talking about experience. Like, I have this whole joke where it's just like, I'll say the joke. It's been a while since I said a joke. So I have this whole bit where it's like, we're both only childs, and I'm a child of divorce. So my dad joke is that, my dad was, my mom raised me who I am, but, don't get me wrong, my dad was there, but he was like the Holy Spirit. You just had to believe in him. So, you go to church every other Sunday. I see my dad every other Sunday. I confess my sins. He says, you're absolved, my son, and still whoops my ass anyways. But don't get me wrong. My dad was there for me. He was there for me, especially when I had my first heartbreak. I went up to my dad and I was like, Dad, I'm real sad all the time and I don't know what to do. I'm crying a lot and this girl just broke my heart. What should I do? And he looked at me and gave me the most blatant dad response I've ever heard. He was like, you need to bottle that shit up, son. You need to bury that real deep, deep down inside of you, and don't ever bring it up till you're arguing 30 years later with your wife about who's doing the dishes. He's like, God damn it, I'm tired of doing the dishes. And why does Cynthia not love me? Why? And and then someone was just like, oh, I know Cynthia too. She broke my heart. And I was like, really? Did you have daddy issues like me? Nah, you seem like you got it all together. Look at the outfit you got on, some dude in a suit or whatnot. So that was like one of the times he heckled me. He's like, oh, tell me another heartbreak. And I was just like, oh, dude, like, not talking about a heartbreak. Like, I'm moving on to this. Clearly, you're not over your heartbreak. And then he was there with his girl or whatever. I was like, yo, he has a lot of issues. I hope you're his therapist. I don't remember what I said to him, but I was just going at him for like, I kind of stopped my show a little bit, like my flow, and was just going at this guy. I'm like, yo, you got all this money. Like, you got a fancy watch. You got a suit. Why are you coming in a suit in a comedy club? Like, are you a producer? And I was like, what do you do for a living? He's like, oh, I'm an accountant. And I was like, yeah, but you can you count on your girl being there for you after the show? So, it's all about, like, you got to be quick and you got to be witty. And, like, that's part of comedy. Like, it's being quick and witty on your feet with the curveballs. Like, I never did a roast, and I don't ever want to be in a roast battle. I don't want to hurt people's feelings. I don't want to get punched in the face, because I feel like if I'm in a roast and someone was like, okay, me and this guy's going to roast, I am going to study you like you are a freaking final exam. I'm going to find all your flaws. How fat are you? How skinny are you? What do your teeth look like? I'm going to look at your Instagram, and I'm going to go for the kill. And I just don't want to do that. Like, I prefer not to. Plus, I don't want my ego hurt either. I'm pretty easy, I guess, to make fun of.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Well, yo, man, thank you for coming on the show, bro. I think this has been a great fucking episode.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Honestly. Yeah, bro. Yo, listen, I didn't even know about the screenplay, or I think you mentioned you were writing something.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was a screenplay or not. So that's great that you're actually focusing on that. And I think it's great that you've spent 3.5 years doing comedy. You know what I'm saying? I think you're really focused on what you're doing right now. And I think that you balance work and your creative life really, really well. And I think that a lot of guys can go out there and take what they've seen here and be like, yo, listen, like I got to start doing something too. Cause like, what are you going to do? Just fucking sit around and not do shit, bro?
Yeah, right. Yeah, man. I just try to do it all out, you know, just try to be the best version of you can, you know, life is short, you know, and whatever you feel like your niche is, or just whatever makes you feel alive, like it's not your day job, maybe it's not your family, whatever makes you feel alive and whatever you can comes naturally to you, just go for it, man. But definitely thank you for having me, man. Definitely come out to one of my shows when I'm in the city next month. But yeah, my name is Daniel Ray. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Peace out, guys.